Yep. The human was frail and small. Their voice bounded out with a light rhythm as they spoke. This is my home planet. What? My green alien body was ready to burst with pain. Oh yeah. He smiled and put his hands on his hips, looking at the raging death around us. This Earth, mankind's Earth, and boy, she's a beauty. You're kidding, right? Why would I be kidding? I couldn't focus anymore. All of the violence I had experienced, all of the pain and agony that this Earth had instilled on me, it was too much. I couldn't handle it. All I could do was think back about how I ended up here, about how I found myself on the death world to end all death worlds. I'd love to say that it started simply, but in fact, like all things with this planet, it started out rather violently. What's happening? My hands slapped around the screens. The ship's alarms screeched like banshees into my ears, and red dots flashed about with awful pulses. I don't get it! I was supposed to be on track to the lovely planet Calypso, a quaint and soft beach world where fruit falls from the trees and fish clean your feet. But now my screens were saying otherwise. Autopilot failed. The ship spoke in a robotic voice. Autopilot failed. Stop failing! I reached under my seat for the user manual. It was a new ship, filled with new knickknacks and quality-of-life features. I was sure that it was just some small failure. Nothing major, right? I maniacally flipped through the pages and found in small letters the address to type in to my emergency radio machine. My hands were like little green blurs as I typed it in. Hello? The ship rocked with agitated pulses. Hello? Can anyone hear me? A silver, official face appeared on my screen. She smiled with perfect teeth and spoke with an exact, unwavering tenor. Hello, Xander Zalt of the Pally. Are you enjoying your new ship? I grabbed the screen with both of my hands and screamed, It's about to crash! I see. Fix the thing! I saw in one of the square windows a little red bar pop up. Collision with planet Earth imminent. I screamed louder. It says I'm going to crash land! It says I'm going to die! Cerulean Corporation has found that not all crash landings end in death. In fact, in a landmark study Shut up and save me! I see. Her skin and hair was metallic. She carefully pushed some strands back behind her ears and continued evenly, unbothered by my reasonable panic. Have you tried turning on the autopilot? Seriously? I was turning over every small box, opening every compartment, throwing around papers, manuals, and all of my tiny little snacks as I searched for something to save me. Autopilot is broken, lady! Have you tried turning it off and on again? I don't have time for that! The ship blared out in a terrible voice. Crash imminent! Crash imminent! I looked out my front window with stinging dread. There I saw an imposing spinning orb. It was dusted over by white clouds and interspersed with swaths of green and white land. No, no, no! We at Cerulean Spaceships always recommend a restart before further troubleshooting. I'm about to get restarted, you idiot! My hand shook. I looked around for anything else, any other saving grace, an escape pod or something, but no. I was heading right for the planet. Dear stars. In emergency events, Cerulean recommends strapping into your seat and activating the ejection when applicable. Ejection? The ship began to rattle as it careened into building atmosphere. Under your seat, there is a large red lever. When conditions permit, pull on it with sufficient force, and you will be semi-safely ejected. I tightened up. Semi-safely? Cerulean is not liable for the ejection mechanism. Ejecto Outta Here was made by the company Explosive Enterprises. Please direct all legal complaints to them should the device be inadequate. My windows washed over with crimson tongues of fire. The alarm screamed louder. Static and electric shocks buzzed and popped as the ship began to writhe in metallic pain. It was so loud that I could no longer hear my own thoughts. An infinite dull roar sunk into my bones. It made my eyes water as the G's of slowing down tried to yank me from my seat. Through the glowing glass, I caught a glimpse of my doom, of the white blanket blue dot. There was a slight beauty to it, an amber horizon, colors of green and white so deep and rich that it made the heart flutter. And yet, the planet was eating my ship, and the hunger of its pull gave the whole view a terrifying glow. The planet itself was a predator, and I, its prey. I could hear pieces begin to tear off. Quickly, the violent, chilling bite of wind began to rip into the ship. The air sucked away and became thin, and my vision faded with rhythmic blackouts. I had to pull the ejection. I palmed around under the seat, sucking in the little air I could as more and more got eaten away. I could see some of the sky clearly now, and the ship was starting to spin, gaining more and more speed. Now I was sucked into the side of my seat, the G-forces of an uncontrolled spin pushing on my organs. I was fading fast. The air, the G's, the violent shakes. Each blackout could be my last. Each blink could finally be it. I just had to find a lever. I grabbed a hold of a metal rod and pulled with all of my might. I heard a scream of metal and an explosion of air, and suddenly I burst into the sky in an explosion of fire and wind. With one last scream of insanity, I blacked out. Xander Zalt? Ugh. My head pounded. Mr. Zalt? Where was I? Mr. Zalt, I need your attention. I blinked, slowly coming to grips and processing what was around me. I was still strapped to my seat, swinging in the air as my parachute was wrapped around the branches of a bright and large tree. I jolted with shock. Holy shit! Mr. Zalt, right here. The voice was the cerulean representative. It came from the side of my ejection seat. I reached down and pulled off a small rectangle screen. There I could see her face as she smiled and waved. Hello, this is the Cerulean Ejection Communication Device. We at Cerulean are happy to see that you've survived the ejection. We've modified our numbers and are happy to report that due to your contributions, the ejecto out of here can now legally be considered mostly safe. Bravo! My body ached, and I was so queasy from the whole event that I thought I might just puke out every organ I had. That didn't feel safe. That's because it was mostly safe. I rubbed my head. Oh man, where am I? You have crash-landed on planet Earth. I looked around. The ground was about 10 feet below me, and as far as I could tell, the world was nothing but thick, dark foliage, trees and bushes, huge leaves and twirling plants, a gigantic ball of greenery. Ugh, when is the rescue squad getting here? Pardon? The rescue squad? I tightened my grip on the device and stared at its screen. That's why I have this thing, right? So Cerulean can send someone to save me? Cerulean will arrive to recover what's left of the ship in the event of your death. What? Legally, we inherit all devices as soon as the rightful owner is no longer living. That makes no sense! I waved my arms with such anger that I began to rock my swinging seat. I tried to focus as I spun and swayed. Come get me now! Are you a Cerulean Plus member? We apologize for... Oh, shut it! I'll find the damn ship myself and see if I can fix it. I didn't know how to fix a ship, but obviously, if they were so convinced it could be salvaged, then damn it, I was too. I unstrapped from my seat, careful not to fall. Then, as I tried to climb nimbly off of it, I promptly fell and smacked against the hard dirt. Shit! I stood up and dusted myself off, taking in the surroundings. The air was humid and thick, and all I could hear was a loud symphony of buzzing. All right, can you at least point me to the ship? A little map popped up on the small screen. It appears the majority of the wreckage is located on top of a prominent mountain within your area. It would appear to be about 3 full day-night cycles walk by the planet's metric. Right, I pointed. This way? I can't see you. Oh, duh. I turned the little box and saw the arrow on the map change. This way, right? Correct. Right. Cool. I looked into the packed layers of green before me. They all could be moved, but there was just something threatening about their layers that made me hesitate. It was a wall that kept going, a jaw with infinite teeth. So I just, go? If your goal is to reach the ship, then yes. Right. I began walking, and with each cautious step, I wished to be back home. The air was sticky, and I wanted the light, lovely kiss of a controlled atmosphere. I wanted to be wearing my favorite soft robe, and to be resting in front of a red sun. Yet as I stepped through the foliage of this Earth planet, each leaf seemed to sort of stick to me. Eventually, one plant actually jabbed me as I pushed it away. Ow! I looked down and saw it was lined with hard, violent thorns. What the stars? What is it? I can't see. A plant is covered in knives. Oh, interesting. I skeptically looked at my screen. Is this your job? I'm on break. I saw her lean back further into her chair. It's not often that someone survives a crash landing. I thought you said it was mostly safe. Mostly safe is legally defined as 15% survival rate. She pulled out a bag of food. Anyways, what else do you see? Just plants. All of a sudden, a loud and horrible howl echoed down from directly above me. I yelled and crouched as I looked up. There, I saw a collection of four-limbed creatures, all swinging and dancing about the branches. What the stars? I thought this place only had plants. I screamed again, except this time the rest joined in right after. Soon the whole forest was alight with these terrifying whooping yells. Stars above! I began to run away, pushing through the leaves. Yet these creatures, they deftly kept up above me, jumping and lazily swinging from tree to tree, haunting me with their awful yells. Well, I heard the rep say, by our readings, Earth is covered with life. I tripped on a root and smashed into the dirt. Quickly, I crawled to the safety of a large tree and pushed my back up against it, looking up to the deep canopy in fear. Are there predators here? Tons, I'd imagine. The swinging beasts simply breezed on by me, carelessly screaming and jumping. I sat under them, breathing heavily, sore from my crash and fresh fall, and panicked at all of the new life. Suddenly, I felt a small tingling on my shoulder. At first, I thought it was a muscle twitch, but as I went up to rub it, I felt a small creature. What? I looked over and saw a moving black dot. No, a collection of moving black dots, fantastically tiny and quickly covering me. I've never seen such tiny little... A brutal stab of pain erupted from my shoulder. Gah! Great Orion! I stood back up and spasmed with swipes and punches to get them off. The more I panicked, the more they bit, and the more I jolted with pain. How in the world? What? The rep asked excitedly. What is happening? These tiny black creatures, I can't get them off me. There are so many and they're stuck onto me with incredible tact. They're biting me! They're biting me! Oh! Finally, I swiped most of them off, but my green skin was welted and tender now. It somehow itched and ached at the same time. I've never seen such small creatures able to cause such pain. Me either. I suddenly realized they were everywhere. Every tree I saw, every inch of dirt, every flapping leaf, they were all covered by these little beasts. I balked and stumbled back in horror. They're everywhere! No! Oh, my stars! There's tons of different kinds, too! Some have horns and some... A little winged one flew off from a tree and dove right by my head, barreling off towards some other tree. Some can fly! Great stars! I can't even count them all! Do they all bite? I don't want to find out. No, do it! Let them bite you. I'm curious. Her voice was so much more lively now that I was doing something interesting. Not a chance. I shuddered with twitching pain, looking back at the map. I have to keep going. I had to move much slower now, though. I could see the little demons on every piece of green. Carefully, I dodged the thorns and little creatures, also watching my foot to avoid those gnarly, grabbing roots. The whooping creatures came and went as they pleased, and I noticed the trees contained many large creatures. Some were large flapping things, and all of them had some sort of terrifying scream. Nothing could be silent on this planet. They all had to haunt you with their yells. I couldn't help but be scratched and bitten as I walked. It became a part of the journey I couldn't avoid. Eventually, I was covered in scratches or sticky plant parts, or more and more bites. It was awful, truly awful. I want to be at a resort. I lamented to the rep as I trudged along. I want a sauna. Ooh, that does sound good. I might go to one after work. I rolled my eyes. Not fair. I stopped in my tracks. Something inside of my stomach told me to stop moving. It told me to be afraid, to be wary and scared. A dark and terrific chill crawled up from my feet to my head, and suddenly, I felt as if I couldn't move at all. Why'd you stop? The rep munched on a different snack. You get bit again? I looked behind me. Something is off. What does that mean? The woods. There was something in the woods now. The trees had eyes, or maybe the plants. Something was watching me. My gut was sure of that. A twig snapped in the distance and made me jolt. I became alight with fear. A leaf moved, a tree swayed, a creature howled. All of it was a threat. I swallowed deep. I think I'm being stalked. You have a lover there? No. I think something is after me. I think something wants to. She gasped. Eat you? I nodded, eyes wide and scanning. How big do predators get on Earth? She shrugged. Who knows? Helpful. I had to move, and I felt I had to move fast. I started back off towards the mountain, moving quickly and constantly looking back. Each step was a little more desperate than the last, a little faster, and more spastic. Hey, I put out my palm as I moved, collecting a small puddle. It rains here. I'd imagine as much. That's not very rare. That's nice. Finally, something to cool me down. I shouldn't have spoken so quickly. I made my way further into the woods, a sense of dread building, and somehow the rain kept getting worse. The sky darkened too. The air tightened and smelt like a charged knife. And all of a sudden, the very earth itself felt like a wire pulled tight. Stars! The rain was horrendous. It was awfully loud, and I couldn't see further than right in front of me. I slipped over and over again, getting covered in mud and sometimes sliding backwards. I can't even move! The water began to gather in some places. It was just covering the world. There's so much! It's just water. It's a lot of water. I was exhausted. As I tried to crawl my way up a hill, I had to dig my hands into the muddy earth, then my feet, pulling desperately to stay stable. I didn't know it could rain so much. Then the world flashed. For a quick, terrible moment, it flickered like a light switch. What the? I flinched and began to slide back down the hill. Stars! I even heard that. What was that? I looked up at the sky, terrified and dizzy with panic. My ears rang from the sheer intensity of the sound. It sounded like a bomb. Maybe it was. Another flash, though this time I saw it in the distant clouds, a white arc of electricity, terrible and perfect, crashing far off into some deep land. I screamed, "It's electricity!" What? The sky is shooting electricity into the ground! Awesome! I put my hands over my head and tried to hide somewhere. The rain whipped me, the wind dragged me, and each cracking explosion of electricity sent a chill down my spine. As I tried to move, just desperately trying to get away from everything, my feet started to sink. The ground welled with the water, and the soil ate my legs. I can't! My body locked up, every atom in my soul halted and screamed in fear. That last burst of electricity had lit up the world around me, and for a small fleeting moment, like the blink from a nightmare, I saw a shadow on a wall. It was a four-legged creature, large, hunches over each appendage, and with what seemed to be a pointed head made for stalking. That was it. That was the creature after me. The storm had caught us both off guard, and I had seen its outline. That was it! My voice was weak against the torrent of rain and wind. I am being hunted. What? What do you see? I took off into a sprint, desperately yanking each foot up from the sinking heavy mix of dirt and water. My hands tried to guard my eyes and face, but the rain still tore away at me. It seemed to dig at my very flesh, but I couldn't focus on that. I had to. Again I saw it, but this time it was no shadow, but an outline. There was a beast right behind me, coming towards me. It was waiting for its moment. I began to scream and swing my arms to try and scare it. Get away! Get away, damn it! The rep stopped talking. I think she heard the rabid fear and panic in my voice. Get away! I was reduced to a crawl. The ground and rain had become too much, and the level of the water was rising. It was starting to surround my legs and hips. But again, I didn't have time to think about that. Every flicker of a leaf or twitch from a tree sent me reeling away and swinging. I thought everything was my hunter. Every phantom and fear could be my last thought. I turned to crawl away backwards, watching the darkness. I know you're there! A terrible, gripping growl emerged from the darkness. It shook the water into ripples and resonated so deep in my bones that my ancestors felt it. My eyes stung with fear, and I sucked in so much air that I almost blacked out. What are you? The light flashed, and the beast was there, not 10 feet away from me. Its face was twisted and angry, filled with awful teeth and curled into a rancid snarl. Its skin was furry, orange, and patterned with black stripes, and its figure, its immense frame was nothing but taut, pulsing muscle. An animal of sheer predatory instinct, a beast built from its very substance to be a killer. My breath was gone from my chest, my eyes devoid of action. I was sitting before death, in death's home, wallowing in death's vigorous blood. Dread creeped up from my veins and filled my muscles with chilling, collapsing anxiety. I locked up, tightened into a plank of prey. I closed my eyes. I was about to die. Pow, pow, pow. 3 ringing blasts of sound came beside me. The backs of my eyelids shone with white light. I opened them, expecting that noise to be the knock of afterlife's door. Yet I was still at death's house, though the beast was gone. I was sitting in the running water, rain still suffocating the air around me. A voice rang out, and the intelligence translator in my skull buzzed as it processed the language from its biology archives. That guy just doesn't know when to give up. I looked to my side, squinting as the flickering light of distant electric explosions outlined the mysterious figure. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. They were skinny and meek, and they held a smoking metal stick. You can get up now. I scrambled to my feet, panic still fresh in my veins. What are you? What is that? You can speak English. It had tan skin and a little hat atop a simple head. It pushed up pieces of glass on his face. So you've been here before. Is that thing dead? I didn't have time nor patience to explain the complexities of language technology and studies. That creature. I think I hit it once, so it shouldn't be coming back for a while, but that definitely won't put it out of the fight. He took off his hat and whipped mud from his forehead, taking a moment to really glare at me. Wow, you're actually wow. Everything about the being was wrong. It was out of place, not fit for the land that I had just experienced. It was smaller than me, and its voice was lighter and meeker. This was a planet of predators, not whatever this thing was. You crash land like me? I looked down at my mud-covered, scratched map device. I think this planet likes to do that. What? Well, at least you have a weapon. I shook from the cold. I was heading to Calypso. Didn't think I'd need any weapon. He blinked at me, stiff and strange. This is my home planet. What? Oh, yeah. He smiled and put his hand on his hips, looking at the raging death around us. This Earth, mankind's Earth, and boy, she's a beauty. You're kidding, right? Why would I be kidding? I couldn't help but laugh. It was too much, too crazy, too insane, that any creature of intelligence, let alone one that looks like that, could survive this planet was a joke. You needed claws and violence to live here, not brain power. I wasn't born last cycle. Come on. What planet are you actually from? His glare was very strange, and he stepped back. I've never even left this planet. Then, with a flash of electricity that he didn't even flinch at, with his gear-riddled body highlighted by the light, I saw it. I saw something new and strange in this creature. I came closer to him, getting a closer look. You live in these woods? Oh, no, he smiled. I'm out here camping. Camping? Yeah, oh, sorry. Guess that might be an Earth thing. I live in a big stone building, but I came out here to stay a few nights in the woods. It's fun." He kept going. "I knew that tiger was around too. Heard some rumors. That's why I got this bad boy on me." He lifted his metal weapon. "Don't want to kill it, though. The thing is too pretty." You, you came out in this for fun?" He pursed his lips and nodded. "Yeah, the storm got a lot worse than I thought. But that's the way it goes. That's half the adventure." Half the... I was dizzy. I couldn't take it. I couldn't comprehend it. That creatures would willingly do this. That they would suffer for fun. For enjoyment. I raised a shaking finger. "You're fucking insane!" "What?" He blinked in shock. "Did an alien actually just... This is insane! Dude, what the hell?" My little screen lit up, and the rep chimed in. "Yeah, this is insane." He pointed to her. "Another one?" "No." I kept shaking my head. "I can't take this. I need to get to my ship. I need to get to my ship right now." "That thing crashed on the mountain?" He smiled. Oh, buddy. I've got bad news for you." I threw up my hands. What could be worse? A rage of noise and chopping sounds blistered by above us, coating us in a wash of air and gusts. I guarded my eyes as I tried to get a picture of the strange things, and the human continued smiling. "That crash has already captured a lot of attention." "What?" "If you thought this was strange..." He shook his head. "Just wait till our military finds you." This place? Making a military? My stomach turned inside out. A planet that raged and raged like this, where even the smallest things could put up a fight, and the largest were death themselves, beasts set upon with violent passions. I had to take a seat again, putting my head in my hands and shaking. "Well?" The rep finally chimed in again, voice cheery. "Are you going to describe what the creature looks like for me or what? My break ends soon."